Hello Indonesia, we're Group 2 from the Australian Catholic University.
Today we'll be talking to you about pre-packaged Australian beef and how we will market it in Indonesia.
We hope you enjoy the presentation.
Thank you! Australian beef is considered to be one of the largest and freshest forms of meat in the world. With rapid income and population growth, food consumption in Indonesia is shifting away from starchy goods and becoming more varied, including fresh meat, fruits, vegetables, dairy and seafood. Wheat-based products, dairy and seafood are of course increasing, though Australia produces 40% of Indonesia's whole beef intake. In this presentation, we are going to review the macro-environmental factors of beef within Indonesia, relating to Australian prepackaged beef of course, highlight the general market of the product, discuss specific factors of the product, and discuss the market entry strategy that we will use to market prepackaged Australian beef in Indonesia.
Hi, so I'll be talking about the pesto analysis. So the first factor is the politics of Indonesia. There is the issue of corruption, which is a barrier to economic development, as the survival of the companies are based on paying bribes to the government officials, not based on the values that they offer to consumers. There is also the KPK, which is the Indonesian Corruption Eradication Commission, which was formed to combat and investigate corruption. The ASEAN Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement is a free trade agreement between Australia, New Zealand and ASEAN countries, which include Indonesia. It covers all trade agreement negotiations for all sectors, including goods, services, investments and intellectual property. Some key interests and benefits of this trade are extensive tariff reductions and elimination of commitments, and regional rules of origin, which provide new opportunities for Australian exporters to tap into international supply chains in the region. The next factor I'll be talking about is economic factors. Inflation in Indonesia is currently at 6.7%. The current interest rate in Indonesia is 6.75%. The population in Indonesia as of 2014 is 252.2 million. Indonesia recognizes 6 religions, with most people practicing Islam making up 87.2% of the population. In 2014, Indonesia's middle class was made up of 17.3 million households, which made it the 4th largest middle class in the world. This increase in the middle class purchasing power means that it gives them more room for discretionary spending. Technological factors. Materials are usually transported by sea or air, and intra-island is usually done by road as there is no freight railway network. Indonesian infrastructure and service networks have not been developed or maintained to keep pace with the booming consumer-led economy, which causes increased transaction costs and inefficiencies that may burden on exporters. Next up is the geographical information of Indonesia. Indonesia is a large country extending 5,120 kilometers from east to west and 1,760 kilometers from north to south. It consists of 5 major islands and about 30 smaller groups. The total number of islands is 17,508, and only about 6,000 of them are inhabited. Indonesia's total land area is 1,919,307 square kilometers. And lastly, in regards to law, Indonesia has laws that all food products must be labelled. They must be in the Indonesian language, have an expiration date, have the complete name and address of the importer, and if the product is halal, have a certificate from an agency approved by the Indonesian Islamic Council.
The cultural acceptance in Indonesia is very large due to the Muslim religion, so the packaged beef from Australia has been halal certified. It is a major part of Muslim cultural festivals where they require beef for consumption, and it's a tradition. Australia is a key partner in providing Indonesia with beef, but Indonesia's goal is to become a self-sufficient provider of their own beef. Their ideal marketing development stage is business-to-business partnering with Australia, as our cattle can be imported and fattened in Indonesia, then packaged there as well. Australian companies can then add their expertise in processing and marketing. Indonesia's population of 240 million only consumes 2 kilograms of beef per annum, due to the price as tax is added from Australian imported beef. Very little is consumed in regional, rural and remote areas due to the distance, price and affordability. Australian companies are advised to spend time investigating in the market, as it is important that they get professional advice and establish business relations. Australia has signed a United Nations Security Council declaration, which means there are a range of measures and restrictions that they must abide by. Some may include export and import restrictions, prohibiting technical assistance, training and financing, travel sanctions, and financial sanctions against specific persons and ethics.
Okay, so there are specific factors relating to Australian beef. The four major market potentials for Indonesia are potential to increase economic growth, potential with domestic products and population, potential for optimization of natural resources and added product value, and potential for increased modern trade. As for consumers' potential, consumers will potentially change to increase businesses, and Indonesia will become more educated and gain a changed lifestyle. For competition, the potential competition will be supply and demand and competing against other organisations that sell agricultural goods like beef. For future and current ease of market entry, Indonesia must keep participating in major trade exhibitions like the Food, Hotel and Tourism Indonesia exhibition for meat and processed food products. Also, keep promoting the Australian image of clean and green agricultural products. For sales projection, it has helped economic growth and stability in Indonesia, and more businesses import beef. For the cost of entry for beef in Indonesia, importers or exporters of lifestyle should clarify regulations with the Australian Quarantine and Inspection Services before importing beef.
There are a range of factors to consider when determining the potential target market. Factors include cultural differences, political stability and risk, economic conditions, geographical and logistical factors, and market and industry conditions. In saying so, it is best that a so-called preliminary screening is conducted on whether to enter a certain market or not, based on the following model, which is seen here on the screen. You follow the questions which are used as a guideline to help determine whether to enter the market or not, and it goes all the way down to the bottom. Indonesia was chosen as a potential target market due to the fact that they are in high demand for beef. With this being the case, they will be seeking to Australian cattle exports. Indonesia has announced 200,000 permits for feeder cattle in the first 4 months of 2016. It has gotten so bad in Indonesia that many traditional markets even stopped selling beef as a protest against the rise in prices. So we see the Indonesian population in general as our potential target market.
Assuming opportunities existed in Indonesia, entry strategies would have to be thoroughly planned as different themes need to be taken into consideration, such as the economic and financial environment, cultural and consumers, market selection, product development, and adaptation and pricing strategies. A SWOT analysis will need to be analysed, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as it minimises the chances of loss of profit and failure before entering into Indonesia. The target market's financial status will determine the price of the product in order to be affordable but also make profit. Culture will be taken into place so that the product has nothing unethical to Indonesians and will be advertised and consumers will not take offence. The market selection determines which areas of the country the product will be publicised in, and as mentioned previously, pricing strategies will be based on average income.
Once all has been considered, the method of entry must be decided. The method of entry we most likely plan to enter with is through cooperative exporting, which involves the exporting of the packaged beef to Indonesia via having an agreement to use another organisation's distribution network. This way, you know that there is a reliable intermediary on the other end. It is more risky to directly export yourself, as you will rely on a foreign-based intermediary.